Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're listening. Whether it's Iran, Australia, we did a bit of research on our YouTube analytics. There's cunts watching us in Portugal, Papua New Guinea.
Well, yeah.
The UK, which makes a little bit more sense. Scandinavia, which I didn't even know they knew what rugby league was, but we've gone global, mate.
We've gone global.
It's fantastic.
It's fantastic, mate.
Obviously, only 3 more rounds of this beloved sport. That obviously, like I'll say, from me personally, like getting on the pod and talking about the footy every single week has been a great addition to my life, and I can't wait to do this for another, however long we're in the lab producing for you boys. We just hope you're enjoying the content. So let us know your thoughts down below. Obviously, round 25 on the horizon, and it looks like it's gonna struggle to live up to the hype of last week. Obviously, on the schedule, no game like a Melbourne versus Penrith caliber on this one. On the look ahead, might be coming next week, but this round we just got to get through. It's more of a slugfest in my opinion, especially for the punters, Chris. Few big occasions up the waz coming this week, but outside of that, it just seems like a lot of -9, -10 sort of games where the underdogs, like they're losing a little bit of motivation to compete in these games.
Yeah,
what do you think?
will they quit? And we did mention a few weeks ago that we thought they would quit, and they didn't. But now their finals chances are, for every team outside of Brisbane, maybe, is pretty much done.
They would need some assistance from the Dragons.
And they would need some assistance from everyone. Will need some assistance from Dragons, right? So Dragons actually do get one more win. Brisbane are completely out of the equation. So are Raiders. So are Knights. So it leaves us just Dolphins that could possibly make the 8. And that's also hypothetically saying that they actually win this
Melbourne,
week as well. So
which we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. But I think we start with the first game of the round, which is definitely not that exciting.
At the Fortress, Leichhardt Oval, hosting the last game at Leichhardt for the season, where the Manly Seagulls come into town, and the prodigal son of the West Tigers, Luke Brooks, remakes his first appearance against the Tigers at the Fortress. Probably the biggest spread of the round of this one, and I think it's not quite big enough in my opinion. -14.5. Coming off the back, and as we know how these markets operate, you get a win in the previous week. Normally there's a little bit more like respect as far as the spread goes to your side. So I want to say if Tigers had lost the Souths, this probably, like, imagine how much of a difference that forward pass at the end of the game makes. That if Tigers had lost, 90% of the punters would not want to bar them.
Yeah.
I genuinely think this would be like 16, 17, maybe even 18 on game day, especially if Manly had like gone away with it against Warriors, right? But that's not how it plays out. Belinda Sharp looks after Chris and the pod, calls forward pass, and now they are 14.5 point underdogs at Leichhardt Oval. Player movement-wise, Junior Tupou has come back to redeem himself after 22 rounds to make an appearance on the wing, which Lala Licky passes HIA, but now he's out anyway, which makes no sense to me. But
is he in the stand down now?
Yeah. He's
what?
That's why he's out. Well, you can't drop him after scoring and saving.
Yeah,
10
no,
tries,
but he passed his HIA.
Yeah, which
so he's allowed to play the rest of the game, but again, not in a week's time.
Whoever operates the clock needs to be investigated, along with the independent doctor. But that's for NRL 360 to debate, not us. And Adam Dewey, probably more precautionary, little bit of knee swelling, so he sits down. And genuinely, I couldn't tell you who's playing center.
Well, obviously they're playing Junior Tupou, who comes back, which is good.
But he's on the wing for
he's playing center.
So who the hell's playing wing?
It's the new winger, the winger that you like.
Oh, the brand new one that played against Cowboys. Yeah, that guy. Manly, pretty much straight swap. Tommy Talau out with that pec injury, so conveniently Tolu Kola is in to replace him and initiate the full speed force in this one. So, Chris, 14.5 points. Is there any intrigue for the underdog, in your opinion, as far as the spread goes?
I'll give you my analysis.
Is this your upset alert for
No, I'll give you my analysis in 1 second. Can you just check who's reffing? Because this is important.
You think if it's Belinda Sharp 3-peat, then
I've
something
seen
could happen. I feel like there's a legislation that
you can't do 3.
I'm going to say Todd Smith.
I'm going to say Grant Atkins.
It is undetermined.
All right, so we don't know yet, which is strange, because usually we find out on the Tuesday. But I don't care if it's Belinda Sharp, Fletcher Sharp, Michael Sharp. Doesn't matter who it is. It could be anyone. Manly are going to fucking rape them. I actually think this should be, in my opinion, the line actually should be 20.
The first
it
20
should be
of
a
the
20.
season.
And we should get one, hopefully. Like, I'm praying that there is a 20.
And I think next week it's coming.
Might be for Raiders. But I actually think this should be 20. Manly coming off their really poor performance. I don't think Seabold's going to let that fly with how Manly's been playing. And Tigers won the comp. And now Tigers can just look ahead, right? Because unless Para win either the Dragons or the Broncos game this week, then it's going to come up to the last game if they want to get the spoon or not. Tigers could, get off the bottom of the table if they win this week, but I very much doubt that's going to happen. I actually think Manly are going to win by a significant margin. If I was, you know what, I will take it because it's Tigers. I might take like minus 39.5. I think Manly are just going to go there and pile on the points and absolutely maul the Tigers. There is a bit of look ahead for Manly, so you could argue, why would Manly go there and try? I get that, but it usually applies when they have to go to Dolphins or go to Townsville or go to Brisbane, really big road games, or Raiders is a good example, even though they always beat the shit out of them. When it's and not even an hour away, 30 minutes away from your home ground, doesn't really mean much. And look, because Manly played so bad last week, I can't see them playing back-to-back bad games, and Manly have been my team, and I'll happily take minus 14, 13, 15, 18. Doesn't matter to me. I think they're going to get fucking killed.
That's your analysis? You
That's
just
all
think these cunts shouldn't show up?
Shouldn't show up.
Yeah, I agree with you. Tigers, obviously good to get that win last week, but it's pretty much all eyes on the Eels game to end the season in that one. Granted, Eels don't get a win. They'll have something to play for. Even if they do get a win or two, if Para win, it just becomes less and less likely that they have a chance to get off the bottom of the table due to their putrid point differential, which is only going down further this round. Manly, I do get the concern of potentially having that look-ahead spot to the Dogs game next week, but that would imply that Tigers are going to give any resistance to Manly once they get the ball. Sometimes I try and visualize or a map, all right, what's this game going to look like if I take plus 14 and the ref gives Manly 2-6 agains and they end up in the Tigers 10-meter line. And all I can see is Saab scoring, Garrick scoring, Turbo scoring, Kohler scoring, and Lehigh scoring. Olakau'atu scoring. So, for them, it's going to be pick your poison. Tigers, sneakily, have actually been up for a little while now. I think they haven't actually had a really bad performance since I made that reel about them when they quit the Sharks. They should have beat, honestly, genuinely should have beat Souths the first time round. They just beat Souths again. They've been, hanging in the games. They lost to Warriors where they covered by half a point by 12. Knights was a bit of a dodgy one where the scoreboard implies that they got killed, but
they didn't.
They really didn't. They just got killed by Belinda Sharp, but all good. As I said, she made amends for it 7 days later. But yeah, Tigers really lacking motivation in this spot. I know I'd normally come and bang the table that Leichhardt's some eighth wonder and they're going to give him hope, but there's no hope this round. You shouldn't even go.
Actually, Addin is playing, isn't he?
Yeah.
He didn't get a week for that crusher?
No, he's innocent. He didn't have enough loading from his 12 hip drop.
Oh, okay, all right. Anyway, Addin Caesar, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's there. Manly have got the superior offense. Their forwards probably match Tigers, which is a concern because the Manly forwards suck ass.
No, Nathan Brown's playing. All good.
Okay. And the Manly backline is, even without Talau, just means they get a better centre, in my opinion, come in. So
yeah, wow, what a loss.
It's not a big loss. Lehigh has been playing out of his mind. I don't know what possessed this guy. But yeah, the Manly backline looks too strong.
I will say this though,
murder them.
If Manly go in there sleepwalking,
Tigers have a chance.
Tigers can, in that hypothetical, score 18 against Manly.
Of course they can, but
so then technically Manly need 36, which they will get anyway. So on to the next one.
Yeah.
Up the wires, baby. Up the
This is
wires.
the best day of the round. Best day of the round is this Friday, in my opinion.
Yeah?
Out of all the days.
Which games are you more excited for on the Friday night?
Well, Para, obviously.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm more excited for the Friday showdown. Shout out to Matt. Shout out to Chris. Shout out to Gus. Shout out to Jacob Carraz. Shout out to Critter. Shout out to the lot of them. Seraldo. They've been absolutely on fire the last 24 rounds. 22 rounds, really, because they started 0-2 ever since then. Been just a covering machine, but they're going down in this one, baby. Under duress. I tried this 2 weeks ago and Shauno quit on me, but second time's a charm. Shaun Johnson, the farewell game. Go Media Stadium, named after you for the round, the Shaun Johnson Stadium. I believe the Warriors, in a tumultuous season, have one last occasion to fire up for. Sign off, Shauno, Fanua Blake, Jazz Tavanga, 3 great servants for the club. And the Bulldogs, obviously on paper, are better than 4 point clear of this Warriors team, and they've been showing us that for the last 3 months. But at some point, something's got to give with this team. You cannot keep covering every single week. And even though the spread's short, I believe the bookies are accounting for the fact that Warriors are going to give a kitchen sink performance for Sean Johnson in this one. I believe an outright victory is on the horizon, and I would love to see that come 6 p.m. on Friday night. But if they just fall short, I would like the 4 points in my favour. So under duress, Sean Johnson, shout out to you. I hope you finish your last game in New Zealand as a winner because you deserve that. Up the wires, baby.
Up the wires, mate. Good luck.
Thank you, brother.
I'm glad you took him as under duress because that would mean that I don't have to lose to Bulldogs because when they don't cover, when they win by 2 and not lose by 4.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, for the Bulldogs fans that are that delusional, that believe that there's no pullback, then sure, like none of this analysis is going to mean anything. But in my opinion, I also agree with the Waz. This is Dogs' last game that they're not playing a top 8 side, which is hard to believe 2 rounds from the finals, but it's true because they play Manly next week and then they play Cowboys. Both at home, but both are finals games. And especially that Manly game where for some reason you're tussling it out to finish 5th, in my opinion, in just stupidity. But whatever. I know the world thinks, and look,
true.
all I hear is just fucking these cunts are going to finish 4th. But you do realize Sharks have a 50-point better differential than you guys. And on top of that, they're actually 2 points in front. So you technically have to win 2 games and they have to lose 2. And I don't see that happening from Cronulla. So I think 5th is probably your best finish spot. And to be honest, if there's any time that there's going to be fatigue, it's going to be this one, right? Like, why would they go there and try? Knowing that, like, I know that it gets them fucking probably horny that they're going to go beat Shauno in his farewell. Like, I know it's Dogs. That's the way they are. But realistically, they're really thinking about Manly the week after. And fortunately for Manly, even if they're thinking about Bulldogs, they're playing Tigers and they could cover on accident. So I don't think Warriors are going to be like that. And, you know, there's plenty for Warriors to play for, especially being their last game in New Zealand. A lot of their stars not playing, like in this team, either, you know, going on to somewhere else or retiring. And obviously next week is their last game of the season because they have the bye last and they go to Cronulla, which they might as well not even show up, in my opinion, in advance. So, look, I think the Wires are definitely the right side here. I can't see why Dogs can just like go and possess all this fucking anger every single week and beat everyone. And seeing as it's 1-17 as per usual. And look, Warriors on paper, anyone that looks on paper is like, these guys are actually not that bad, but they just play like garbage and they can't score. And typical of this fucking sport is that the best defense will concede tries to the team that can't score. And that's what we saw fucking last week when when Cronulla didn't concede to Titans, who have a good offense, but concede 18 to Knights for no reason. It's just stupid. So I think one of those stupid things are going to happen. Can I see Dogs winning? Of course, because it's Bulldogs. That's why I didn't take them as upset alert. But under duress, take the 4 points. Hopefully gets a 6 and you fucking Dogs fans actually put some skin on the line and take them. Because it shouldn't be 4. It's just that it's this occasion and really no one wants to be on Dogs.
Well, interestingly enough, I think people will forget the fixture that these 2 teams played each other probably like 6 weeks ago. Obviously, that was without Sean Johnson. That was at ANZ Stadium. But the Waz coming off a Golden Point loss the week prior.
Lost Golden Point again,
where Burton gets them the second field goal victory in back-to-back weeks because obviously Dogs had beaten Sharks the week before. But, you know, that Warriors team was much more on-demand than the one that's coming out this week. And I think the line was the same. Dogs were probably laying 4 and didn't cover that one either. Now they're going to New Zealand in Sean Johnson's final game where it's very seldom, or you have to kind of pick your spots throughout the season of truly valuing, like, how many points is Johnson's farewell worth in the point spread in your mind?
Well, it's clearly at least 3 because there was no reason for it to shift today. Yeah, they were both unchanged.
There was no, like, Egan's back, but we knew he was going to play anyway, and Dogs are 1-17, right? But even in terms of opening the line at 7, do you think 7 was fair if take out Johnson's farewell?
Yeah, no. I mean, Johnson's farewell, I think it would creep to 8 because no one would take Warriors, and everyone's scared.
So essentially, like, Johnson's farewell is worth 4 points for these losers.
I actually think it is. I mean,
so that's what you're arguing, right? Yeah. But I think, like, Johnson's farewell, these cunts are either going to win or, like, it's going to play out as a regular game of footy where Warriors get bunch of possession, can't score, especially to Dogs who will like thrive in the environment of like the crowd being up so high and like Warriors not really quite putting points on the board. And I think for Johnson, there's going to be a lot of pressure on him to perform, which unfortunately the last like 3-4 times he's run out there, he's been awful. So can you just flick a switch and turn into Sean
One
Johnson?
game, brother, one game.
We just need you for one more game. If you want to throw the ball on the floor 4 times next week against Sharks, be my guest. But we need you this round, Shauno. I really hope Warriors get off to a good start, because if it's going to be the same garbage of them getting the ball, not scoring, like Dogs going to go down the other end and score 18 in like a hurry against these losers, and then Warriors will quit 1 week early, I think probably by halftime. So I think like the start is very important, but Dogs technically just it's more of a like scheduling and timing thing of, all right, like you went to Dolphins and won, you've won 50 games in a row, you went to Townsville like a couple weeks ago, like you've just been flying from building to building and getting wins, but at some point, like, come on, just lose one. And maybe, like, I want to say this might be a tiny look ahead to Manly next week, but I probably think that like you said, Chris, the whole Sean Johnson occasion will actually make Dogs fire up as well.
I know they will.
Piss me off, but it's just the case that, look, if Warriors are going to, like, lose to them by more than 6 points, 7 points, then all right, like, that's fine. I'm happy to take my chances. Happy to put them under duress, and come on, Waz. Like, you've been good to me the last couple of weeks.
Up the Waz.
Up the Waz, baby. Now, that's my underdog of Friday night. Obviously, like, you can make a case for your inbred team that I can barely look at them, in my opinion, but...
Well, the Parramatta Eels go to Suncorp. They're not my upset alert.
Oh,
I know the world thought, but I am going very bullish. They were this close. But they're just not there, in my opinion. I see this game being very, very close, but I can't judge what the Brisbane demeanor is off their bye. To be honest, I believe that they'll quit, but I don't think the world is consensus that they will quit, because technically they're one of the shouts for the 8. If Dolphins lose this week, then Brisbane will go up to 9th if they win this game, and they're the only team that can possibly chase down Dragons, which sounds insane, but it's true. But I actually think this is going to be the stupid game of the round where Parramatta is just going to go up there and win. And there's no logical reason for it other than, like, narrative of just being this sport, basically. Because, like, Parramatta have no reason to go to Brisbane and try.
I feel like you have some serious trust issues.
But what's going to happen is that they're typically... Look, it would make sense for Parramatta to try against Dragons 3 p.m. Saturday next week.
At Bankwest.
Makes sense. At Bankwest, right? They're going to get a big crowd because it's Para Dragons. Dragons are going to have a lot of crowd because, like, Dragons are actually good. And Para will have a crowd anyway because it's home game. And it's going to be a sign-off for a few of their players. You know, there's a lot of talk about the axe being swung across a lot of these players. Reg, one of them. And Reg has been a servant of this club. Took them to a grand final from when they were fucking last. So I think that's the hypothetical scenario, but knowing Parramatta is they're going to do it 1 week early. And Brisbane, like, if they don't have, like, a commitment there that they can actually make the 8, they shouldn't be 9-point favourites, because this is just saying that Brisbane actually still thinks they're a chance and they're going to fucking fire up and fucking rape Para like Roosters did last week. But I just don't see that as the case. Brisbane do become better because Cobbo's back, but Parramatta actually do become better too, because as long as Tungo's not there, it's actually a good thing. So, look, in my opinion, I think right now, my problem with Brisbane is their commitment. And I think Para, for some reason, are going to go there and try. So, I'm not going to put them upset alert, but I'm definitely taking the 9, or if it gets a 10, the 10 points, I think that's the right side.
Unfortunately, Chris, I think, like, we'll have to part ways on this one. I think we see the first 2 games very, like, concisely in the same manner, but
we'll be parting ways soon, don't worry.
I think that it's not ideal seeing Broncos laying 9, and the situation in my mind is what we've come to see of Brisbane in the last 2 years is sneakily they're actually extremely offensively reliant on Reece Walsh to create points for them. Even like when Mam's there, Reynolds is there, Haas and Carrigan, you name all the back line. When Walsh isn't there and you have Wiz Khalifa playing fullback, like, they truly struggle to execute plays. And even when Walsh is there, they don't really execute great.
Yeah.
They're actually better executing from their own fucking 20-meter line, it seems, because, again, like, a team of athletes, fast players, a willingness to shift the ball, it catches teams off guard a little bit, but their attacking execution on the opposition 20-meter line in their red zone is not great. So minus Reece Walsh, having to lay that is not ideal. But in my mind, if there is a team to lay it against, it is the Parramatta Eels. And last week, I don't want to say it was too much of an indictment on them because a lot of shit went wrong and they did come against the front-running Roosters team. But I just feel like it's a good get-right spot for Brisbane that, all right, if Brisbane had quit before their bye to Cowboys, then obviously this wouldn't be 9. This would be like 4 because Walsh isn't playing and Haas is still not playing, Mam's not playing. And there's the likelihood that, like, what the fuck is the point of Broncos, like, trying to cover again? But the fact that they did win just gives them, like, enough of a reason to go back home, freshen up after their bye. And I feel like they've lost probably 7 of the last 8 games at Suncorp. And they are a proud club. And generally, they're pretty decently coached, even though there's been a lot of questions raised on this pod on their leadership around the club this season between Walters and Reynolds. But from my perspective, I learned enough about them in that Cowboys game that, look, they're not the cowards that they have been playing like the last 3 months. And obviously getting back, anytime you lose Karapani out of a footy side, it's just like, I think that's worth 6 points in the point spread itself. So I'll lay 8 with Brisbane. Not because I'm super horny to just take any Broncos line, because over this course of this whole season, I'm very hesitant to get in bed with Brisbane again because they fucked us over so many times when we're like, all right, they played garbage last week, but they have this guy and that guy and they're going to bounce back, and same shit. They just keep fucking us up. Yeah. But I'm really glad we pulled that trigger one more time on them against Cows, and now
I don't give a fuck.
I really struggle to think who I would take power against. Dragons. In this season, probably Dragons, but anyway, no, I'm the new Dragons ambassador. Oh, yeah, I have to defend them.
Yeah, you do.
But yeah, I really don't want to touch power in any case.
I can't wait for this game. I think it's gonna be really funny.
Yeah, maybe it will be good for a side wager for the pod purpose.
Maybe. Would you want to do a side wager? Power.
Give me Broncos minus 1.5.
What? That's 9.5.
I have Wiz Khalifa.
No.
All right. Anyway, off Friday night, hopefully we get some troll results in that one. I think that will be good for
the trolls begin.
The trolls, they're coming out because my team, the Canberra Raiders, after fucking me over on Under Duress, are running out there 3 p.m. sharp against Chris's mighty Penrith Panthers, who are renowned for not losing 2 games in a row. But with a spread of 9.5, the bookies agree that they are not going to lose to these losers. But Rapana, the milking piece of shit, returns at fullback, and I really think Ricky has completely lost the plot in this one. Because after having a Rookie of the Year caliber season, Ethan Strange has been completely left out of the squad altogether. So that might tell me that he has to be injured, or maybe Ricky's injured when he was riding the lineup. Seb Chris back to center, Albert Hopewadi, he's no Lehigh, that's for sure. And the Bugatti goes into 5'8" to partner Yamal Fogarty, and Tom Starling's also there to round that water spine that is. Conversely, on the Penrith side of things, Liam Martin returns from his 1-week suspension for almost breaking Azzy's leg the week prior. Sorensen's still out, so that dirtbag's still at back row. And any other changes?
Kenny's out.
Mitch Kenny's out, so Somerton, that's going to be hard to lay anything with you and the team. But a spread of 9/10/ probably 12 on game day, Chris. Is there any chance you get in bed with my team with the Bugatti at 5'8"?
Well, you know what? Your concern is laying anything at this point. Because I don't know what you're concerned about. Why are you laying points? Sound the fucking alarm! The Canberra Raiders will beat the Penrith Panthers in this fixture. Penrith are naming way too many idiots. And at some point, they're going to fucking lose to someone stupid. And they're going to lose to the Raiders. There is no motivation for these fucking idiots. But they showed it last week that they can quit to anyone. And they quit to fucking Cowboys. Ricky has no stand of that. He saw Ethan Strange missing all those fucking stupid tackles against fucking Val. So he was like, fuck this. I'm going to name Albert Hopewadi, who on paper is a piece of shit. But I believe in these Canberra Raiders. There is a lot of outs for the Panthers, and I just think they're just not at the point to be 9-point, 10-point, 11-point favorites. And to be honest, Raiders, for some reason, are going to fire up in this game, in my opinion. And look, it's their last game at GIO. I actually think their forward pack can match the Penrith pack, which is Penrith's strength. I don't trust fucking Luai or Schindler's List to fucking pull the strings and be gangsters and beat them by more than 10 points. Their backline, other than Edwards, is kind of been arsed. To'o was awful last week. Everyone else, McLean's still there. I mean, wow. So I just think overall, I think Raiders, against the good teams have typically played okay, and I actually think they will play okay again for their last game at GIO. And I actually think this is going to be the biggest shock of the round, that Raiders, for some reason, no one will understand why, but they're going to win at GIO against the Penrith Panthers.
Good luck, brother.
Thanks, man.
I feel like if you had under Duress, I could probably like back you a little bit more here, but after what Raiders did to me last week, like,
you can't. I get it.
I can't, like, going back to me, like, mapping out the games in my brain, I can't see Raiders winning. But again, with like the theme and how the games have played out this season, that has me a little bit more worried than I was prior to your hot take. So good luck on that one, mate. Hopefully, like, if Penrith aren't going to cover, go out there and lose. As far as I'm concerned, go out there and lose. And then, like, that would actually put them into jeopardy of falling into losing Blue Bet as the Fortress in week 1 with the take on the Roosters, who...
Some would say they're not that good.
I think only you would say that, my friend.
Pretty much.
But, yeah, I think, like, if Raiders get a win for you, like, the Penrith fans, who already know they're going to have their pitch box out for you, like, it's interesting, right? Because you send out upset alert that Melbourne's going to kill them, and then all the Penrith fans come at you saying, like, oh, you're an idiot for betting against them again. And then... You don't hear a peep out of them after they lose.
I didn't hear anyone after the game. Did anyone in the reaction video? Anything? No. Okay.
No apologies.
Let him come out this time. Oh, we're playing Raiders. Yeah, it's good to be on your fucking high horse against Raiders who suck ass anyway.
Yeah.
I know they suck, but I'm taking them because I believe in them.
Yeah.
The Green Machine.
Well, that makes one of us. But anyway, onto the 5:30 slate in this one.
Go to sleep.
I thought your absolute low was going to be this one.
Honestly, just have a nap.
Is this the 45-second segment of the round?
This is like...
Fins down.
Why go? Don't even go. Yeah. There's no point. Yeah. I mean...
Do they know that, though?
They should.
I think they might. I think, like, not only the loss with the implication of the ladder last week, but the way they lost was a bit of a beatdown, and the way Dogs just executed on top of them in terms of taking their will away to compete at the last 20 minutes... really, like, has me questioning why the fuck they would go to Melbourne and have a go. But seems like the bookies have had a similar line of thinking, setting this line at 15.5, which Dolphins on paper are not that bad, and they have performed decently enough this season to think that, all right, like, giving them 15 points is a lot. But in my opinion, why I would argue that Melbourne's probably the right side in this one is, look, Bellamy's come out, said that we've earned the right to rest players, and that's going to be something we're looking to do in the last 2 rounds. But interestingly enough, he has named his entire full-strength roster in this one. Wishart goes to wing, so Fa'alogo comes onto the bench. Christian Welch, I believe, is named in the 17 somewhere.
No, he's not, actually.
No, he's not. Okay, well, like, he's kind of irrelevant at this stage of his career anyway, so that's fine. And
Dolphins are exactly the same.
Dolphins are running the same thing, but Mark Nichols comes in for that QBR guy. Marshall King is not back either, even though he was due back, I believe.
I mean, they're quitting, right?
Yeah, seems like Dolphins were up for so long, kind of like similar to Raiders in my mind, of they flirted with the 8 and they were in and out. Dolphins were actually in the 4, probably like 6-7 rounds in, and you just saw their landslide coming week after week after week after week, and now they're at a point where they're looking up and seeing Dragons in front of them by margin. I think Melbourne, off a long turnaround of 9 days after beating the shit out of Penrith, have one more big performance in them at home, and then obviously they'll go and quit to Townsville, probably rest a bunch of players against Cowboys and Broncos in the last 2 rounds. But knowing that rest is on the horizon, I think Bellamy will be demanding a lot out of his troops to put another good performance in. Because, there's obviously that in American sports, this becomes a bit more prevalent, Chris, of the old rest versus rust argument. In the NBA, when some inbreds locked into the 1 seed with 5 games to go, they start resting cunts, and then they come out and shoot 5% from 3 in the first game of the playoffs. Or in the NFL, when a quarterback is rested in the last couple rounds along with the offense, and they come out and just fumble on the first couple of series. In the NRL, you don't see it as much, because I can't remember a regular season where someone had the minor premiership wrapped up fucking with 3 rounds to go, right? But that's what Melbourne afforded themselves with their win against Penrith last week. I think one more big performance, Dolphins, really no reason to go to Melbourne and try. Like, even though you're having to lay a lot of points, I feel like the variance in this game is really high that, all right, if Dolphins actually go and play gun and Melbourne, like, are not really up for it because they're just looking to the finals already, I think, like, Dolphins can cover 8 or 6. Like, it'll go right down to the wire. But having it look, in my mind, that Dolphins are just going to go there and quit and Melbourne are going to, like, really get angry, I might take that alternate that you were talking about in this game and lay like 24 or something. 'Cause I think these cunts are gonna get killed.
Yeah, I think they will. I don't know. I think this one's a little bit different to the Manly game because Melbourne got their big win, but Melbourne are actually due to cover one of these fucking enormous lines. They haven't done that since I remember Anzac Day, to be honest.
Yeah.
Every time they've always like kept it close or not covered.
Yep.
So look, they're due to do one of these games. Melbourne are in a fortunate position, and if you do on the look ahead, if they do end up playing Cronulla, which I'm 95% sure they will.
They will.
Cronulla actually have probably more rust on them than Melbourne do. With the outs that Cronulla have, and assuming Hines comes back next week,
Yep.
he would only have 2 games under his belt, where a lot of these boys, to be honest, towards the back end of the season after Origin, have played every game together. So look, they've actually been a bit more together, and look, fuck that, going to Amy Park after you just beat them already, Cronulla, so good luck. And the recent loss for Melbourne at home to Dragons will definitely have Bellamy being like, cunts, wake up, like, these cunts are going to try. And I'm not disputing that Dolphins will go out there and score 20. I actually think they might score 20.
20.
But Melbourne will score 40. Wow, so
okay.
I think the Dolphins defense is awful. And Dogs really didn't show like how good they can be. If you give that many sets Dolphins to Melbourne, you're going to fucking concede like 50 points. So I think they're in a bit of a bad position. I'm not going to be like taking any total unders or anything like that. I actually think this will go overs, even if ends up just being Melbourne.
53.5, I think.
Yeah, I think it'll go over that. And I think Dolphins will get points on the board. I just think Melbourne will get more. And Melbourne will try offensively, defensively, like we've said for weeks. When they want to, they will. When they don't, they don't give a fuck. And I think
the reason, obviously, for those who follow the pod a lot, they will like have picked up on the fact that Chris and I like feel a certain type of way about certain teams, aka Roosters, aka Sharks in the finals, which in high leverage games they seem to just fuck it up. But Melbourne are actually the opposite of that. You know, like all these games where, as you mentioned, Chris, 10.5 to Raiders, they win by 10. 18.5 to Para, they win by 18. So if you're a casual punter and you're just backing them on like the spread,
you're actually losing.
On the day you're losing, and they're like probably pissing you off, but the books giving them underdog status at home to Roosters, in hindsight, laughable. Giving them 6.5 on the opening line to Penrith, like not the smartest thing. So Melbourne have showed, if anything, that like in these high leverage games, they're showing their potential or their peak of how good they can be, and they haven't really done that against these like bum teams. Which, if I had to pick, I would have it that way, as opposed to like Roosters beating every single team by 50 and then losing every single time they play a good team. That is like way more infuriating in my mind. So
I know what they're going to do, actually. I'm predicting Bellamy's tactics. Wishart will go to the bench and Farlong will probably start wing. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And they're going to be really crazy.
Yeah. Wow. Like,
and if you think of rest, obviously you mentioned Bellamy's mentioned that the next 2 weeks they're going to rest players. Probably Hughes will get the first rest, so I'm assuming he won't play next week. So will Pappenhausen. So I think those two are probably the key outs for next week that they won't get a start. Munster hasn't been there for a long time, so I'm assuming he'll probably still play. And then the week after, maybe Munster will take a rest against Brisbane, and then Pappy will come back. Because, like, Pappy will just go for Failongo, and then Hughes will go for Wishart. So, I mean, it's not really a big deal.
Yeah.
And knowing Cowboys, they're retarded. So, I assume, like, anything could happen in that one. But in terms of this week, it's a really nothing game. We spoke too long on this. Over to South.
Speaking of nothing games.
No.
For the general NRL world, but this is the game of the round for the podcast, which I'm sure, shout out to Matt, like we've had him actually message us 1 minute past 4 o'clock saying Footy Dean's back. So that just goes to show like how much we were looking forward to him returning based on his performances at the start of the season. This is Footy Dean versus Cogger in a nutshell. That's pretty much what this fixture is. A spread of 6.5. Yes, Knights are 6 points favourites against anyone in this sport. And my number one theory in the NRL is under duress, actually, technically, which states that anytime Knights are 10 or more point favourites, they always cover, which they did again last week, like inbreds. And anytime you put the -9 next to Knights, they've managed to fuck it up. So, Chris, I really thought you were heading in the direction of putting South's upset alert once you didn't put it on Para, but Talk to me. Is this a 2.0 upset alert situation?
I actually think this will go to Golden Point.
Oh, God.
And it will truly be the Footy Dean versus Cogger show. I actually think this is just too laughable for me to like sit there and go for South. I actually will cheer for both sides. I bet it takes like some alternate total points garbage because like I want both teams to score 40. It will be really funny. I just think like overall, like again, in terms of everyone in NRL, who cares? But for us, it's really entertaining. Souths are really bad. Knights. No, we know they can be bad. It's not that they're actually bad, because if you actually look at their lineup, they're much better than South.
What was Cogger and Crosswood?
Yeah, but Dab Callan, right? These guys have Jai Gray.
God, Cogger and Crossland's really like something gross to lay 6 points with.
So, to be honest, if you're looking at footy-wise, you take Knights. But
if you look at it,
if you look at imbecile-wise, you know Knights are going to fuck it up. So you take South. So, like, to be honest, I don't trust either team. So it might be wise just to take the points and hope it does go to Golden Point, because laying 7 with Knights is something else. Like, unknown territory. I know a few weeks ago when they played, again, it was Tigers. That doesn't count. So, yeah, it's a great game. I can't wait to watch this. I think this is the only watchable game on Saturday, to be honest.
This is a really bad game for, like, the non-pod followers.
Well, everyone's going clubbing Saturday night. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, but we'll be sat right in that chair watching the Footy Dean and Coggerball. Adam O'Brien, again, like, you've gone back in the lab. Obviously, Tyson Gamble breaks his hand, but you revert Cogger back in, which I really like.
He played good last week. All those tackles he made on the Cora.
No, he did not play good.
Yeah, remember when he was giving up 50 metres to the two-man offense, apparently?
Well, now he's going to have Kalamatangi running at him the whole game, the strongest man in the world. But obviously, conversely, Footy Dean can't do anything right either. So it's like, it's screaming unders to take overs. That's my suggestion.
Well, look, it's the ball playing versus ball playing of Cam Murray and Adam Elliott as well. You got Hodaz on both sides, Kalamatangi and Pierce Paul.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the recipe of fucking laughter.
I would say, like, fucking around the side, which took us about 5 minutes to get there. What kind of concerned me about Newcastle with their kitchen sink game last week where they fucked it up, which in only Newcastle fashion that they could fuck that up 18-10 and losing to Atkinson. The post-game press conference when Kalen and Adam O'Brien were speaking to the media, they sort of asked a few look-ahead questions of, all right, like, now that you fucked that up, like, what's your approach to the rest of the season? You're going to need results from Dragons and other teams and blah. Can you three-peat, essentially, was what they were saying. And Kalen was, like, kind of pressing on and on about, like, oh, like, this one really hurts us. This one, like, really, the boys are shattered, blah, blah, blah. Is that a team I'm looking forward to? Knowing that, like, Knights without hope. Because as I said in the preview, Fletcher Sharp and the brand new high-powered offense gave them hope the prior week against Tigers. And then Atkinson just stripped it away from them, and now they have nothing in the tank.
But you're saying South can score.
But then, like, obviously on the other side of things, it's Souths, which they lost to Tigers for God's sake. So, again, this becomes a battle of the numbers, and I really like. Essentially, what I'm saying, Chris, is I would not lay 6 with Knights against anyone in the world.
Okay, let me just put
it. It doesn't matter like who's playing.
Gun to your head. You taking South plus 6?
South, yeah. I'm not laying 6 with Knights. There's something new. Knights without hope. Fuck that.
But what if they find
How the hell are Knights going to score?
It's not. They still have Kalen.
No, fuck that. I'm good.
How are South going to score?
Through Cam Murray of War. And Jack Wyden, the best 5'8" in the competition.
Wow.
Wow, with no Cody Water. Honestly, if they had Cody Walker, I would like seriously be whispering in your ear, send him out as an upset alert. But with Footy Dean, like this putrid, both teams are so bad.
Oh, it's got to be great. Great Saturday night fixture going into my most hated team versus my other most hated team playing each other. Sound the alarm! No. Titans host the Roosters in also a game that who gives a rat's ass.
This is for me is the like epitome of who gives a fuck.
But you want to take Titans.
No, I'm going to let you talk about your team first. Well, I would say, like, before you get to your actual analysis, I'm sure the pod listeners are wondering, in this fixture where, obviously, like, you went infamous for despising Titans for what they've put the punters through. But obviously, predating them, your hatred for Roosters came with you when you came out of the womb. So who would you technically be cheering for in this?
Titans. Because you know what? Okay, see what people don't understand is that I'll scream. I still hate Titans. But when Titans get to 15, 16 and a half underdogs, I start liking them again. It's pretty funny because last year. Was it last year or the year before? Yeah. When they were 20 points every single game, I started liking them because when they're that garbage, it kind of makes it fun to take them.
Yeah.
Because some fucking idiot like Kinney is gonna run through and score, and you're fucking cheering. But for this fixture, I actually think Titans might try for no reason.
I know they will.
And I think they should quit. But I'm gonna say something. It's gonna be controversial, but who cares? Roosters are guaranteed. See, I already gave up set alert, but Roosters are guaranteed to do something dumb in this game. I'm guaranteeing it. So, these are your 4 options. Either Warrior Hargreaves gets sin-binned, Radley gets sin-binned, who's the other one? Angus Crichton gets sin-binned, or someone gets set off. Because I actually think in a 2 p.m. scenario, I can imagine one of these morons doing some stupid tackle because it's never logical with Roosters,
Dom
right?
Young, Swiley.
And it's been a little while since they've had a send-off, so they might be due. So I actually think this week, you know what? Because Robbo, all he's going to drill this week is that discipline, hold the ball after last week and they kept dropping it in the rain. And it's going to be bone dry because it's Gold Coast, which is perfect for Titans. But anyway, and perfect for Roosters technically because they front run, right? But I actually think they're going to do something really boneheaded in this game. So my prediction is either one of those 3 players are going to get sin-binned or one of them is going to get sent off. Therefore, take Titans line.
So after all that, you agree with me? Titans is the right side.
Titans is the right side because I'm predicting them to do something dumb.
I'm going back to my equilibrium theory of Titans that as soon as the world, aka the guy next to me, goes on a public forum and says, fuck these cons,
they go out.
Now you literally have to quit, they'll start trying. And the last 2 weeks, which they've had everything to play for between having a top 8 chance against Sharks and then playing for 300th game, I knew they're going to fuck it up in that foreign game, which I told everyone, take Dragons. But now that no one wants a bar of them, and this opened at 10 and now it's 15, obviously it's going to get to 16. Don't run to the fucking ticket to take Titans yet. Wait with these guys. They're going to cover, aren't they?
Can they really be the biggest line around when Tigers are involved?
Nah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they can. Because, Roosters have shown that if you put something pitiful in front of them...
but are they due to do something dumb?
Even more so than Manly, Roosters will put 50 on the board.
Yeah, but...
of course they're due. It's Roosters.
Yeah, so...
Of course they are. But, the bookies aren't going to account for the fact that these cunts are going to get a send-off, aren't they?
If we... Look. It's going to end up being a real because all the Roosters fans can come at us and say they're not fucking stupid. But if we can predict who's going to get sin-bin or they're going to get a send-off, does it not, just explain the club? And that will be another thing once we get to the review, if that was to occur, if some fucking moron decides to get sin-binned or sent off in this game. But it has to be those 3 morons. I want to make sure. Make it clear. It's either... Warrior Hargreaves, Radley, or Angus Crichton that's going to get sin-binned, or any player gets sent off. That's my prediction.
So the Dom Young and Swiley don't make the cut? Who have both been sent off already? No. No, they're safe?
They're safe. It's going to be one of the forwards. I reckon they'll go shots on Mo for no reason.
Yeah.
And then they're going to send it off.
Interestingly enough as well, again, fucking around the side, Fermo's back, Fodawaker's back. I think that really strengthens the Titans forward pack that they took to Wollongong, which everyone again was so excited to take them at plus for 3.5 at close. Come on, guys! But you get 2 of your outside of David Fafita, who's wow, he's not having a go at all as of late. They're definitely your 2 best forwards. You get both of them back, and now you're getting almost 16.5 in Gold Coast. I don't think Roosters have enough of a reason to go there and try and kill them by 20 plus.
Especially playing Raiders the week after, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, I really think Raiders shouldn't show up that following week. So Titans, now that the world's put a line through them, I'll take them. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, me too. On to the final game of the round, probably the game of the round for everyone.
The actual proper game of the round.
The Dragons host the Cronulla Sharks in the classic southern suburb rivalry between these two clubs, and Cronulla seem to always fucking win it. And don't get me wrong, nothing's gonna fucking change.
Wow, I'll defend you boys. Don't worry.
Look, shout out the Zarafos brothers, but I think there is some sort of fight in the Dragons, but Cronulla do have a lot of class, and I think they're just going to be able to win this game. The spread at 3.5 is fucking short for a Dragons-Sharks game where it's usually fucking 10 every 2 seconds. So that's one. And two, the Dragons are running out Jack Bird again at 5'8", which was comical last week because they raped Titans. But if you watch the first minute try, if they do anything like that, Cronulla will tear them apart. And this kind of game makes me feel like the Manly game at the start of the round is that Sharks know they played arse, but they won anyway. And the fact they played arse, get Trindle back, obviously they lose Katoa, but Sohn Street, like he's played enough games now to not be a fucking idiot. Iro's playing this time. Hazelton comes back, makes him a lot better.
Teague's
back as well. So that's like a big improvement from what they had last week.
Are they essentially completely full strength outside of Katoa and Hines?
So it's pretty hard to sit there and go, okay, this top 4 side is 3.5, but I actually think all the Bulldogs fans must be taking Dragons to push this down because like they're just fucking sweating at the hope that Cronulla lose a game. And I just don't see that happening, and not in this one. And for Dragons, look, even if you lose, like I think top 8 is already done and dusted in my opinion.
I wouldn't say that.
No, it is. Dragons. No, they cannot lose like 3 of their next 3 basically. Like if Dolphins don't win this week, which we're assuming they won't, they have to lose all 3. And by a bare minimum, they're going to beat Raiders in the last round or beat Para next week. So they're going to be in the 8th.
Dragons.
But it does give you a hope that you guys could finish 8th and also buy yourselves a rest if you do win this. Yeah. So there's that
incentive.
In the back of your mind. There's an incentive to do it, but I just think not against Cronulla. I actually think you still will get a rest because someone's going to fuck it around at the bottom, and i.e. this week Dolphins going to lose. Maybe Brisbane. If Brisbane lose as well, then it's really over.
You're really hard.
So like technically, like I still think they're just going to go there and lose. I don't think Cronulla should be 3-point underdogs, 3-point favorites. They should be more like 6. Dragons don't really have that fire in them for this one as much as they had in the last 2. And last week, like, to be honest, I don't know how they turned it around from 6-0 down when Titans scored in 2 seconds, but they will manage to pull it off. So I think there's a bit of a pullback spot for Dragons this week, and they're going to go and rate Para next week, in my opinion. So I think for the Zarafos brothers, obviously, I completely think that it's going to be Dogs-Dragons, and I hope that does happen in the finals, but I think this week is a long gone.
You know, Chris, the more I think about this game, I actually think this might be the most incorrect spread of the round. Because Dragons, like, my main, actually, what I said earlier, disregard it. My main theory of this entire season is come hell or high water, in every 2-week interval, Dragons will have as many wins as losses.
Yeah.
And right now, they have one more win than loss.
So they're going to lose.
So they're guaranteed to lose, in my mind. Because how can you put them 19.5 in Melbourne and then 2 weeks later put them 3.5? How can you put them 2.5 to Dogs and then 2.5 to Sharks? And we saw how wrong the Dogs one, right? What was like, and I think like Sharks and Dogs, the world wouldn't admit this, but we know that they're probably equal caliber of teams at this stage of the season. Sharks with the inclusions of Trindle and Teague Wilton, Hazelton, Iro all back on deck, getting closer to full strength. And I think the one thing, interestingly enough, in my mind, that Dragons really, really struggle with, and this will be put to the test for them, that when they play these top 8 teams, and you saw against Melbourne and Penrith in recent weeks, and Dogs, they really kind of start struggling to put points on the board. I don't remember a game outside of when Penrith had no one or shit like that, where Brisbane had no one, that they go and get 20 against any of these good teams. And we know the Dragons' offense is limited because they have, like, they truly name some degenerates in their back line. And, like, if you're running out Eisenhuth and all these blokes, like, they're serviceable, right? But they're not, well, you've seen the stat, right? Ben Hunt is head and shoulders clear in the try assist tally, up over 30 for the season, which is insane. But that shows that if Ben Hunt's not, like, creating things out of thin air, they're really, like, quite one-dimensional as far as attack goes. And Cronulla, we saw it last week, 2 weeks ago. that when they need to hang their hat on their defense, this is a Craig Fitzgibbon-led side that can defend with the best of them. And with all those ins and the incentive to potentially, they could even get a rest if they beat Dragons and Warriors next week. Like, there's no reason for them to try in that last round because they'll be locked into the 4 seed.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, Sharks, in my mind, clearly the superior team with a lot to play for, coming off
a terrible
dodge a bullet performance where they got the win, so they're not like disheartened, but it's a bit of a wake up spot of like, oh fuck, all right, like we got away with one because it's ninth,
and Trindle's back,
and look, a derby game, obviously you're going to get probably the best of both teams, and I think the best of Sharks is enough to beat Dragons by 1 try only. I have to lay, when realistically I should be having to lay at least 6 or 7, but again, if Dragons had lost to Titans and fucked that up, this would be 6 or 7. But because Titans quit after 1 minute, now all of a sudden I get -2.5. I'll take it all day. I think Sharks is definitely the right.
Yeah, and I didn't add this, but because this is more of a psychological thing, and you know I'm the man of theories basically. But in the hypothetical that my upset alert actually does hit and Raiders do win, I would never want to lay anything with Titans or anything with Dragons, because both Sharks and Roosters conveniently play on the Sunday, and they'll know what happened in that Penrith game. So it does open the door for both of them to actually finish in, if not second place, because they're actually only 1 win behind Penrith now.
Is that how the ladder is set up at the moment?
Yes. So if they are looking at a go-ahead, Roosters actually have a better differential than Penrith anyway. So if they actually win, they're going to be in front of them.
So do Sharks.
Correct. So, look, if Penrith do not win, fuck laying Dragons and fuck laying Titans, because these two teams are really going to G up, especially being the fact that they can get a home final and Penrith could drop to possibly 4th is like something else.
Like, imagine if you're in that Sharks locker room, you see Raiders win, and then previously to that, you have, all right, we're going to go to Melbourne in week 1, and then, holy fuck, we can host Roosters at PointsBet. Like, that's a completely different proposition. So I think, like, again, I think Raiders are beyond hell, but in the case that Chris's upset alert hurts, like, don't take the spread with either of these losers on Sunday. Fuck that.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that wraps up the podcast. It's been a quick one because this round isn't the best. It can be a big story if Raiders win.
Yeah, I think you've like put a lot of the line in that one.
If Raiders
win, we could have a 2-hour review, I would say, but obviously, like, some probably more interesting games in terms of actual footy.
It's actually perfect, isn't it?
What?
If Raiders win...
Raiders are something
new. No, but if Raiders win, these motherfuckers are going to go 4th and go beat Melbourne week 1, aren't they?
Be careful what you wish for, Chris.
Oof, I didn't think of that. Shit.
Because then, like, can they really lose to Melbourne 3 times in a row?
No, they can't. Fuck, I forgot about that. Anyway, I'm still backing my Raiders.
All right, I was going to say you can change the sound.
It's all right. It's still 2 more rounds. Anything can happen. It's Sharks. Like, I'm assuming Sharks and Roosters would probably quit as well, like one of these games. And especially Penrith, they're going to be like, no, we can't finish 4th. Like, I'm sure they're not going to be like, we want to play Melbourne again.
No way.
Fuck that. I'd rather not go there.
I think they're so arrogant that they don't even give a fuck.
Well, maybe they are, but Cleary coming back from his first game to play Melbourne, and Melbourne's rested, and you guys tried and lost to Raiders. I mean, wow. So anything can happen. So that might make the round. To be honest, if other than me believing in them, if Raiders do win by some miracle, it actually makes a really interesting last 2 games, and Dogs can fuck off to 5th. So that's very important for me as well.
I think, like, you've set up Saturday to really be, like, intriguing for the world. So for those of you who stayed this far, obviously, as always, appreciate the support. Enjoy the round of footy. Enjoy the review that I'm sure is going to be hilarious. And we will catch you guys come Sunday night. Peace out. All right, take care.